Hello my friends and welcome back to another video where today we will be discussing the First Age and how it is going to fit in with this supposedly Second Age Amazon The Lord of the Rings on Prime series. This discussion has arisen due to recent potential First Age leaks and rumours by ourselves, and then of course that picture from Amazon. But let's start off with that picture released by Amazon last month, which shows the image of presumably Tyrion and Valinor. Deadline stated that this shot is indeed from episode 1, and this starts to lend to the potential theory that we might be getting a prologue of some sort, as we currently, as of right now, don't know how this prologue, if it's going to even happen, will work. If it is a prologue at all, then it could just be a short one like the prologue from The Fellowship of the Ring, or it could be a 10-minute long prologue. As Deadline said, with that shot being in episode 1, and then maybe the first episode of season 1 is the prologue, or episode 1 and episode 2 are both the prologue, that is another possibility as well. But either way, it is looking like there could be potentially a prologue covering First Age material, but how much is the current question at the minute. So, what does this picture of Tyrion signify? Well, the two trees are still there, and cough cough, we will get to that later on. But mainly from one of our most recent leaks that the character in this image is one of Galadriel's brothers, most likely Finrod. The inclusion of Finrod establishes two things. Firstly, it can give great exposition and backstory to the character of Sauron. If this prologue is going to go in depth and in the backstories of all the main characters, then the death of Finrod at the hands of Sauron in Tol in Garhoth could potentially allow Amazon to show the personal hatred Galadriel has for Sauron in the late Second Age, as Sauron effectively killed her brother. I know this is Amazon potentially inventing ways to create feuds and sequences that Tolkien did not really exemplify or expand on, or maybe not even hinted at, but for hours of television you need to create something. But do I think we will see this? I'm not sure, but I'm leaning more towards the side of it being unlikely, as by showing Finrod fighting off the werewolf to save Beren, this is where it starts to get quite technical. As firstly, from Amazon's point of view, do you want to have to cast and create not only a Finrod character but a Beren as well, which might mean you have to have a Luthien attached to that as well? I don't think Amazon sees the worth in casting and creating such an influential character like that just for it to only be in 1 or 2 scenes or to give a little bit of backstory, as instead they could save that for a potential spin-off show or a future show where they can have a fresh take at the character. But the more likely reason as to why they probably won't is with the rights, as it seems to be that the Tolkien estate have given additional rights to some First Age material if it does somehow support the narrative of the Second Age show J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay are trying to build, like having the license to use Finrod as he is the brother of the main character Galadriel, but then giving additional rights to show characters like Beren as well seems like a bit too much. There could be an alternative where you just completely remove Beren from the scene and have another made up character, but that is playing around too much and also playing around with Tolkien's written works a lot, so I don't think that would be in the Tolkien estate's or Amazon's best nature. Of course, as we know, Finrod does not make it into the Second Age, and this is a Second Age show, so his involvement must be a meaningful addition in order to give context to the character of Galadriel, and maybe even try to get more attached to the lead character by showing her family relations, as it is much harder, I believe, and for viewers in general, to connect to high elves than, let's say, a Númenórean, or God forbid, even a hobbit in this case. Before we finish up on the picture of Tyrion, it makes sense for Amazon to show Tyrion and Valinor, especially for the average viewer who doesn't know as much Tolkien, as the show is taking place in the late Second Age, and maybe not in the first season but at some point our Pharazon is going to want to attack the Undying Lands and continue the hatred for the Valar, and this also gives context for when we see the faithful versus the Kingsmen, as the viewers will understand what and who the Númenóreans are hating, which is the Valar, and the godly and beautiful place that Pharazon will soon try to attack and send an armada to. Basically, it allows viewers to see Tirion and Valinor in episode 1 and what it's like, and then we skip a few thousand years and realise the Númenóreans actually don't like this place or the Valar as much anymore, and this could be a very effective and beneficial way Amazon does show the drama around the ban of the Valar and the Númenóreans, plus Pharazon's reaction and hatred towards them as well. However, the First Age and links to Galadriel doesn't end there, as according to some recent rumours released by us, we now know that Galadriel will be passing through a quote snowy and icy terrain and crossing over mountains in the first episode as well, and then soon enough encounter a cave troll. Of course, this isn't confirmed as to what this could be, but it does seem pretty likely that this probably is the Helcaraxe, as this is the most likely scenario, as if the prologue episode is going to be about Galadriel's past and backstory, having her make the perilous and dangerous journey across the grinding ice would be interesting, and we know elves did die on this crossing, so it does allow Amazon to also show the average audience that elves can die too as well and are not invincible. Also in this crossing, Galadriel's brother Finrod also accompanied her until they reached the Hitherlands, which would make sense showing the connection of the siblings and why he is in the original promo picture. But will Amazon give context to not as why Galadriel and this elven host are passing the Helcaraxe, as the kinslaying of Alqualonde, which prompted Fingolfin and his host to leave, is important in explaining why Galadriel had to make this really crucial, life-changing and character arc decision. Also, showing the crossing allows us to potentially see a live adaptation of the character of Fingolfin as well, as he leads the host across Beleriand. Finally, Child Galadriel. So more leaks have indicated that we will not only be seeing a young Galadriel in the show by Morfydd Clark, but also a child Galadriel reportedly being played by Emily Child Villiers. This is of course an interesting choice by Amazon, and I believe the execution of having Galadriel as a child is crucial, as will this just be through some First Age flashbacks which are in one of the 8 episodes, or will it be part of her story arc in the first 2 episode prologue where we first see Galadriel as a child, but then it becomes anthological and we see her grow throughout the first 2 episodes. That's another possibility. But I am sure a thing which will probably be asked when this topic around the First Age is put forward is all around Morgoth/Melkor. We know that in the late Second Age, once Sauron is starting to cement control over the Númenóreans, and soon enough after the construction of the temple in Armenelos, Melkor worshipping begins, and the Númenóreans are pledging themselves and giving sacrifices to Melkor. So would it be ideal for Amazon to explain or at least show who Melkor was, as I'm sure his name would be passed in mentioning by characters as well? Well, I think it could make sense and be a possibility, but again we don't know how much rights the Tolkien estate have given Amazon, and if, for example, maybe given the rights to Finrod makes sense, as that is Galadriel's brother, so it helps with the character building of Galadriel, but going as far back as including Morgoth as well, I'm not too sure. I believe that extends to will we see the Valar as well in the show in present form, as I am personally against the idea of seeing them, as they are godly otherworldly beings that transcends most things in Arda, and having them visually created on screen might take that essence and aura away from them. But that's my opinion, so we will just have to wait and see. Thank you guys for watching, I really appreciate it. Please let me know in the comments below about how much first age material you think we might see in the Amazon The Lord of the Rings on Prime show, and then what you would like to see adapted by Amazon as well. Please like and subscribe until the next video, my friends. Goodbye.